Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us at e-KLESF 2022. I'm Dr. Ong Gyaju from University Tunku Abdul Rahman UPAR. Today, Professor Dr. Wee Eng Ho will be presenting a webinar titled Sport Science in Your Life. Professor Dr. Wee is a professor from the Department of Sport Science, Faculty of Applied Sciences, Tunku Abdul Rahman University of Management and Technology, TAR UMT. Just a little housekeeping before we start. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. We will bring them up during the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. Dear participants, please sign your attendance in the link posted in the chat box. Without further delay, let us turn the time over to Professor Dr. Wee.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to make a presentation based on sport science in your life. So my topic is sport science in your life. And first of all, let us look at the outlines of my presentation. So we have three main outlines. So the first thing we are going to look into is what is sport science. The meaning of sport science, what it means to you. Number two, we are going to look into how sport science affect you. And then the last one, can you make sport science your career? So in my presentation, I will be showing you some short videos for you to understand, one from overseas and one from bloggers who visited TAR University UMT some time ago. So we move on to the first one, which is what is sport science? So I guess, I don't know, what is your understanding? I guess if you are from schools, you realize that in Malaysian education system, we have sport science subject for SPM, and we also have sport science subject in the STPM. And then of course we have sport science in private universities as well as public universities. So in public universities we have about 5 universities. All right. Okay, let's look into the what is sport science. So some people say that sport science actually apply the science to sporting activities. When I say sporting activities, it can mean that sport as well as exercise. All right. So some people will just say that it is scientific study of sports and exercise. Okay. So meaning that it applies the scientific principle to help individuals to participate in sports, to help individuals to perform better in sports. So we can say that sport science is concerned with the understanding and enhancement of human performance. So sport science actually helps us to identify strengths and weaknesses, so that we can perform individually or as an athlete. So if you are not an athlete, it doesn't matter. It still can help you in your fitness program. It can help you to individualize or to plan a specific program for you, for athletes, for anyone at all, until from the young to the old one. Okay. So having said that, sport science actually includes a lot of things, not only knowledge, its methods and application, but it involves various disciplines, which we will look at it in details in the next slide. However, I would like to stress here is sport science involves other disciplines such as physiology, biomechanics, motor control and learning or development, and then the exercise and sport psychology. And all these sub-disciplines actually interact with one another and affect individuals or team. All right. Now, with that understanding, we move on to the sub-disciplines, or I call it key areas in sports science. So first of all, we look into physiology. So we have the first discipline, physiology, where we look into human body. We examine how body responds and adapts to exercise and training. Okay, so that is physiology. And then if you look into how food contribute to physiology and how the body reacts to what you eat and so on. And the next one, we look into the second sub-discipline, where it is psychology. Okay, in psychology, we actually analyze human mind or your thoughts. Okay, examine how your thoughts and what I call emotions influence your movement or your behavior. So there's psychology. So we have many factors such as anxiety, motivation, arousal, and so on that affect our performance. The next one is biomechanics. So in biomechanics, we actually assess techniques. Okay, we look at techniques, how individuals perform certain skills to see whether the technique is performed well or accurately, and then to look into how, based on those assessments, we look into how to improve the performance. And at the same time, when the technique is done correctly, through the assessment of those techniques, we can help individuals in reducing injury. Okay, the next one is motor control and learning. All right. In motor control and learning, this sub-discipline actually emphasizes on individuals organizing their motor skills, how they perform certain skills and how they learn certain skills. So, so that when they organize the motor skill properly, they can move better, accurately, and swiftly, and they can also perform certain skills in using less energy. And then when the skill is performed correctly, it can also help avoid injury. All right, then last one, biometrics. In biometrics, actually, you make use of biological data. For example, looking into testing our blood to look into the hormones and glucose level. This is just an example. So with that, we actually look into the 5 key areas in sport science. And in the next slide, we are going to look into how this sub-discipline actually affects us. So the first one we are going to look into is physiology. So, so how physiology applies to everyday life. Okay, so we have to take into account is when we eat, we do certain thing, our human body will respond. Okay, so when we expose ourselves, when we do exercise, we do physical training, then our body will respond. So, physiology also helps us in terms of providing information on our decision relating to diet, what we eat, and what we do, and as well as when we sleep. Okay, so on the right-hand side, you can see that when we exercise physiologically, we have to take into consideration the our target heart rate. So every time when we see people exercise, some people say that they exercise 7 days a week, but some people say that I only exercise 3 times a week. So and the person who actually exercise 7 days a week said that my fitness level is not better than the person who actually exercise 3 times a week. So the question here is not the amount of exercise or the number of days of exercises, but actually is the target heart rate. So in physiology, we actually look into incorporating the using the heart rate to monitor whether we are doing the right thing, so that we can exercise and achieve our target zone during the physical activity. So, but here I'm not going to. I mean, one of the easiest way to determine the exercise intensity is through maximum heart rate. So, for example, if you exercise, normally you should be exercising between 70 to 85% intensity. So, making use of the rough estimation of maximum heart rate, you calculate it, so you have a target zone. And if you're during exercise, if you keep to the target zone, you should be able to achieve your fitness level. So meaning that even though you only work out 3 times a week, you should be able to be fit after maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Okay, now I have a short video to talk about physiology of eating. All right, so this is just a short 3-minute video. Let's have a look.
Full of to eat? It's a really important question to ask yourself if you're concerned about your health, weight, and eating habits in general. While we're bombarded with advice and information on how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat, do we really understand what is needed to keep our bodies and minds functioning and in tip-top shape? On today's Food Matters, we'll find out about the physiology of eating and what effect food has on our bodies once it has passed our lips. I'm joined by registered nutritionist Lebo Matseforona. Lebo, thank you so much for your time. So what role does eating play physiologically? Or let's put it simply, what happens to our bodies when we eat?
The physiology of eating explains how the body uses the nutrients we eat from different food groups or different types of food, and then how the body uses the nutrients within the food, how the body digests the food, and uses the food to help the body perform the way it's supposed to perform on its optimal function.
So what happens to our bodies when we eat too little or we eat too much, or we actually don't eat the right thing, we don't get the right nutrition?
First, we have to understand that we don't just eat to fill our tummies. We eat for a certain purpose. For the body to function on its optimal level, it requires certain nutrients at the right amount and at the right time at different stages of life, right from birth, right through to infancy, to toddler stage, adolescent stage, adulthood, and so forth. So it requires certain amounts of nutrients to function in its optimal. So when the body does not receive, or when we don't eat the right foods at the right amount, there are certain consequences to that which can result in unwanted health conditions. For example, somebody eats food that are less in nutrients that are required, that can result in undernutrition. And if somebody eats food more than what the body requires, actually, they can develop what we call overweight and obesity.
So explain to us how a balanced diet contributes to an overall healthy and active lifestyle.
When we talk about healthy balanced diet, we talk about eating food items from different food groups. Whole grains, for example, are very key because they form a base of a healthy meal. And for whole grains, I'm referring to brown bread, popcorns, if it's a snack, and so forth. In addition to that, fruits and vegetables play a key role. They have to form part of the healthy diet. So every day we need to have food from that group, from the fruits and vegetable group. Protein as well is very key, the healthier lean protein types of food, as well as from the milk group. So we have a food plate that actually guides us to say half of the plate should contain food from the fruit and vegetable group. And the other half, we divide it as well into a quarter and quarter. So that would be for protein as well as the starch. So once you understand that, then you know exactly that on my plate, what has to be more is the vegetable part from the food groups. Not a single food can provide a variety of nutrients. So we must eat from a variety of groups and drink lots of clean, safe water every day. In addition to that, exercise or keeping moving is very important. So striking a balance between energy input and energy output is very key. What you eat, you need to use that energy through exercise. If it's not exercise, if it's not walking, then it should be keeping busy in the house, but it's important that we avoid being leading a sedentary lifestyle.
So it's not just sportsmen and women who need to fuel their bodies correctly to ensure optimal performance. Much like a car, we all need to be putting the right kinds of food into our bodies to make sure that we perform at our best. If we don't, we might just find ourselves broken down and side the road.
Okay, so we have come to an end of that presentation, talking about physiology of eating. At least you have some idea about food intake. So we'll move on to the next subdiscipline. So this time let us look at the psychology. Okay, so how does psychology affect you? Okay, so do you know some psychological factors that can affect individual and performance? I think you know things like anxiety, things like fear, okay, things like motivation, and so on. So there are so many factors that can affect individuals, and here I have activities 1 and 2. I'm going to show you how do we encourage people to jump from one point to another. So, for instance, the first one, you look at the first image. I draw 2 lines. I have 2 lines, which is 2 meters apart. So I would like, let's say, I would like to ask you to jump from one point to the other line, which is 2 meters. Okay, so I mean, you can do that repeatedly, but I'm sure some of you can do, right? Some of you can do, but there'll be many of you who actually cannot do it because 2 meters is 6 feet. So then, when individual cannot jump, then they will be demotivated. So especially young people, especially children, they want to see success. So in psychology, we talk about success. So in this case, we want to provide some success to individuals. So what I do now, we will shift to the second activities, where I still have the 2 lines, but I have the width has been changed from 0.5 meter on one side, moving to 1 meter, 1.5, and the last one is 2 meters. So that means I will get you or anybody to jump starting from one end, 0.5 meter, jump over. If you can do it, then you try again to jump 1 meter. And if you did well, I mean, then you can try the 1.5 meter and so on. So let's say one individual A can jump 0.5 meter, proceed to 1 meter, and then could not jump the next one 1.5 meters. It doesn't matter. So at least the performance of 1 meter and provide some form of motivation. Okay, of course, for people who cannot jump, usually most people can do at least 0.5 meter. Okay, so at least there is some motivation for different individuals. Okay, so this is important in sports science. We look into the psychological factors to promote performance, to encourage people to continue in physical activities, okay, so that they won't be demotivated. Okay, so that is the second one, psychology. Okay, so next one, we move on to the other subdiscipline, which is biomechanics. All right, so in biomechanics, in biomechanics, either we understand biomechanics to understand other people's performance, or we understand biomechanics, how biomechanics helps you to understand why certain people can do better than other people. All right, so that's why I say that. In biomechanics, we have biomechanical analysis to help performers individual who do the activity, or to help coaches differently. So how does it help? So for performers, for instance, we look at number one. So there is image of individual doing long jump. So we do mechanical analysis to see how the jump, how he step, how he move upwards, and how he swing both arms and legs, and how he land. Those biomechanical analysis will tell individuals whether he or she performed the technique correctly or not. But for coaches, it will provide information in terms of the technique, the correctness of perform technique. All right, and then what are the weaknesses that the coach can try to help in the next performance. So similarly, if you look at the second image, we're talking about hurdler who do the hurdles. So we see sometimes some people can do the hurdles very well. They can cross the hurdle comfortably, but some people has to knock down the hurdles before they could cross. Okay, so again, so the analysis will provide us with information on whether what is the problem, whether it's the stepping towards the hurdle, whether it's the swinging, kicking of the front leg, and then moving the back leg properly, or otherwise. Okay, and if we look at image 3, similar things will happen. That means we want to look at biomechanical analysis will tell us why certain people can throw a javelin very far. Is it because of the angle of throw, okay, or release angle we call it? So is it because of the movement of the body, the turning of the hips, the lengthening of the hand before throwing, and so on? So this biomechanical analysis will provide all this information because it will tell whether performer or an athlete perform technique correctly, or the movement is correct or otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one question. If you are a badminton player, or if you play badminton and squash, is there any difference in terms of doing backhand in badminton and squash? All right. So if just so in squash, in badminton, there's no wall, but in squash, there is wall. So if you use, let's say badminton, you are looking into moving your hand forward, okay, then definitely in squash, you cannot do that. All right. So so for squash, the wrist movement should be sideways. Okay, so this way, sideways. So in badminton, is this way. Okay, when you do the what you call the backhand, but in squash, it has to be sideways. Otherwise, the racket will hit the wall. Okay, so so biomechanical analysis can help you, can show you what is the problem. All right, so this is how biomechanics can help you in doing physical activities. Okay, next one, we look into the motor control and learning subdisciplines. Okay, just now we mentioned that if, individual need to organize the skills, and usually learning of motor skills involve 3 phases. Okay, 3 phases meaning that the first phase is preparation. That means before you do certain movement or you execute certain movement, you have to prepare. So to prepare yourself. For instance, you stand with both legs. With both legs on the ground. What you call that? The 2 legs open, and then you squat down and you jump up. Then under the execution phase, the second phase, you'll find that you jump up and then hit the ball, in this case, in your image. All right. And after you hit the ball, then you come down, you call that, and then you prepare for the next move. So we call that as follow through. So we have the 3 phases: preparation, execution, follow through in learning a skill. So for each phases, we have coaching point, meaning that there are details of things that you need to do during each phase, and that will help you improve or do the skills properly. All right. So so when you can organize your skills properly, so that means you can control your movement, so you can do execute the performance accurately and also swiftly. And when you can do it accurately, then you will use less energy, and also it can help from getting injured. Okay, so this is how motor control and learning helps. Okay, then how important is sport science to you? As we said, sport science helps you to help you improve your health, to help you prevent diseases by doing physical activities, by eating appropriate food, having enough sleep, and so on. It can help you. But all this knowledge will come from sport science. Sport science will tell you what to eat and so on, which you can see in the next few slides. And then, of course, it has been reported that sport science help you to improve your health conditions like diabetic, chronic pain, and cardiovascular diseases. So normally, people who are fit will have less issues in terms of health conditions. Then at the same time, sport science also help you to improve your mental health. All right. So through exercise, you benefit psychologically by engaging with people, you move with people, and at the same time, through psychology, we also learn or understand why some people do not exercise. Okay, so in this case, let us just go through some of the reasons why people don't exercise. So sports psychology will look into why some people say that they have no time. So sometimes actually they have time, but it's the way they schedule their time has become a big issue. Okay, and some people say, oh, the gym is very far away, the field is very far away, so I cannot do it. All right. So, but using sports psychology, we can actually try to understand, is there any other reason than that? Or maybe people don't exercise because they don't have friends to exercise with, or the environment is not safe, so they don't exercise. Okay, so those are some of the factors where we said that we understand why certain people don't exercise, or you can ask yourself why you don't exercise, and you list down what are the reasons that you don't exercise, whether it is fair that you don't exercise because of those reasons. So that's why we said sports science is important for you to understand yourself, and also for you to understand other people why they don't exercise. And then if you look in, other than normal individuals, we have, let's say, athletes. So how important sports science to athletes? Okay, so for athletes, their life involved in so many things. So sports science is important for them. So for instance, they need to learn about scientific training protocols. So this is where the coaches comes in. Coaches help them. Coaches plan the training program for them, so that they can perform properly. They can exercise according to their needs and prepare for the next competition. And at the same time, sports science helps athletes in terms of injury prevention. So we have physiotherapists to help athletes to do proper warming up. If they have any issue, to help them to look into the pain, what causes pain, and if there's issue in terms of injury, will help them to rehabilitate. So that is in terms of injury prevention. And just now I said coaches helps using scientific training protocol. At the same time, we also use biomechanical analysis in terms of technical analysis. So that means we analyze athletes' technical skills to see whether they perform correctly, okay, as planned or according to certain criteria, so that they can perform better. For example, we talk about javelin. So how high you must throw the javelin, and how fast must you rotate your hips and so on. Those are important things that we see in biomechanical analysis. At the same time, we talk about physiology. So we talk about nutrition and how nutrition can help improve performance. Okay, so it's important for you to help nutritionists will be there to help athletes in terms of what to eat, how soon to eat, how soon after the competition you must eat. So all this comes in terms of nutrition support. The last one is talking about psychological assistance. Sometimes we found that athletes cannot perform because they have mental block. Okay, so they couldn't perform. They have a lot of anxieties. They start thinking of their performance, their coming performance, right? Even though they are well prepared. So this is where psychologists can come in, sports psychologists can come in, talk to the athletes, or do some survey on athletes and find out what are the reasons that this athlete is afraid of, and then based on those assessments, help the athletes. Okay, so as it is, sports science is very important for athletes. So this is something that we cannot avoid. Okay, then for normal individuals, so we look into what is the best way to stay healthy through the help of sports science. So this is online survey showing you 3 important things about staying healthy. Okay, the first one is diet. That means nutrition, what you eat. The next one is exercise or physical activities, or you play sports. Then the third one is stay positive. So if you combine these 3 factors, will give you about the 3 factors. Okay, so we are going to look into each individual factor in the next slide. All right, let's look at the healthy eating. As we said just now, sports science will help you in terms of looking into what type of food to eat, how much food to eat. So if you look at this Malaysian food pyramid, we have at the bottom you have grains group, or normally we call carbohydrate. Here we don't eat a lot of whole grain bread, but we eat a lot of rice. Okay, so you are encouraged to eat most, and at the same time you are also encouraged to eat more fruits and vegetables. And when it comes to meat group, protein, you are encouraged to eat moderately, and similarly for milk group, you are supposed to eat moderately. Okay, and make sure that you eat less of any food that contain a lot of fats, a lot of oils, a lot of sugar, and a lot of salt. So if you can maintain that, then if you look on the right hand side, what healthy eating plate looks like. Okay, so you have whole grains, you have protein, healthy protein, meaning that if you have chicken, you have boiled chicken instead of fried chicken, for example. All right, so whole grain, healthy protein, then vegetable and fruits, together with water. So if you can maintain this, then that means you will be eating the right food. Okay, we move on to exercise. So exercise is important. Of course, the most important is to have adequate amount of exercise, all right, weekly. So as mentioned before, we know that physical activity can help us to improve our health, reduce the health conditions, okay, and then improve sleep, as well as helping us in doing a lot of things. Then most importantly, some people say that exercise help you to release chemical in your brain, endorphins, that make you always feel positive. So you always have you are in good mood, all right, and you always enjoy your day. So if you look at this physical activity pyramid, you are at the bottom, you are encouraged to do a lot of walking movement, rather than if you go anywhere, just try to walk instead of taking a car or other transport. Okay, then if we move on, we're looking into the 3 to 5 times a week of exercise. You have to do some cardio activities, you have to do some recreational activities as well, just like playing sports and so on. So based on World Health Organization recommendation, you are supposed to do at least 150 minutes of exercise per week. Okay, but when you move on to the top, you'll find that other than cardiovascular activities or recreational activities, you need strength activities at least twice a week, and then flexibility exercise as well. And of course, at the top, you'll find that try to avoid sitting for too long. So try to move more rather than sit. Okay, so Then the most important, of course, is to look into the heart rate and ensure that you are at the training heart rate zone. Okay, so I will elaborate in the next slide in terms of the principle in sports science that we use to ensure that you are physically fit. Okay. All right, so just now FITT principle, actually this is an acronym for F for frequency, I for intensity, T for time, and then T for the type exercise. So just example just now. So frequency is talking about how many times a week you exercise. Intensity is talking about moderate to vigorous. Just now we talk about the monitoring heart rate using the maximum heart rate to have a target training zone. So that is intensity, whether you exercise, whether you sweat or otherwise. Then the next one is time. Time actually here is duration of exercise. So it's 30 to 60 minutes per day. However, if you cannot do 30 to 60 minutes a day, it doesn't matter. You can accumulate. Okay, maybe you do 10 minutes, rest for a while, and then come back, do another 10 minutes, and then come back, do another 10 minutes, and so on. Okay, then the next one is the type activities. So for the type activities, just now, if you look at the cardio, the physical pyramid, you find that other than cardiovascular exercises, activities, you also are encouraged to play some other sports. So in order to maintain well-balanced fitness level, we also try to encourage variation in the type of exercise you use. So in this case, you perform variety exercises included cardio, strength, and flexibility training. You play sport, team sport, individual sport, do swimming, and so on. Okay. All right. So this is another point where we stay positive, but I'm not going to elaborate on this. But these are the tips for staying positive. Keep some perspective, in the sense that if you are feeling anxiety, just step back and try to analyze what is the problem. Then you practice gratitude, try to appreciate what you have. Okay, and then if worse come to worse, you can listen to music. You choose your own music, and of course, the next one is follow your passion. Do what you like. You stay positive. Do what you like. You can volunteer yourself to do some things in the society and so on. And surround yourself with positive people. So this is important. So you spend your time with friends who are positive, definitely you can be positive. All right, so we move on now. I'm going to show you one video clip, a short video clip from overseas, a day in the life of sport exercise science students.
Hi, I'm Professor Andrew LaFrenz. We are at a local elementary school where our exercise and sports science students are practicing what they learned in the classroom. They are working on teaching kids here about the health-related components of fitness. They spend a lot of hours out in the community. Let's go see what they're up to. Hi, we're here at one of our stations doing a long jump. We've got Emma
Sorry for that.
Hi, I'm Professor Andrew LaFrenz. We are at a local elementary school where our exercise and sports science students are practicing what they learn in the classroom. They are working on teaching kids here about the health-related components of fitness. They spend a lot of hours out in the community. Let's go see what they're up to. Hi, we're here at one of our stations doing a long jump. We've got Emma and Peyton.
All right, so we're here going to get some baseline testing of the students, see if they fall into the health and fitness zone, and we're going to do a good demonstration.
Hi, my name is Professor Joel Schulteis from Concordia University. We're here at Fabian School doing the fitnessgram test. We're looking to see if the students, 5th through 8th graders, are in that healthy fitness zone. How about you?
Welcome to the bod pod. Please open the door.
Hi there. We're here in the exercise and sports science lab where we are using the bod pod to assess body composition in Bianca. It's really cool stuff here.
Hey, my name is Arthur and I'm an ESS major senior. We're here at the Healthy Kids Group where we're teaching them how to properly cook healthy food. You're going to make shepherd's pie, apple pie, and if you make it good, kids going to eat it. So, help from us. Even kids will eat squash if you cook it right.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Physical Activity and Sport for Special Pops. It's a class that our students take in our exercise science major. They learn how to integrate individuals with disabilities into sport. And today, we have the opportunity for representatives from Alternatives folks to take us for a ride on bikes that they've modified, adapted for people with disabilities. Looks for a great time in our class. Hope you get a chance to spin around with us.
Okay, so we are done with the a day in life of sport and exercise science. We will move on to the next section where we are going to talk about career. Okay, so can you make sport science your career? Well, it depends what you want to do in life. Okay, so what you want, you decide, then you join. Okay, and then of course you can ask people, you can talk to people who are who knows about certain job. Or you can directly talk to people who are involved in certain career to see whether it fits you. Okay, it is appropriate to you. The second one is your passion. So if your passion is in sports, then you may want to be a coach and so on. So the third one, what is your life goal? So what do you want to do? You want to help people, or you want to be involved in community? Okay. And then what other considerations? Is it a time constraint? You want to work, you want to have a freelance type of job, or you want to work with a company and so on. Okay, so we will move on to have a look at the other job prospect. Okay, so there are a lot of jobs available in sports science. So if you're interested to be sports scientists, you can do it. So sports scientists usually do research sports, do assessment for athletes or individuals. All right. So to help them improve their performance. So similarly, you can be a physical trainer if you want to. So so you can train people, you can plan for them. All right. And if you want to be physiotherapist, you can help athletes or individuals to do proper warm-up, as well as to rehab when they get injured. All right, so other available career, like sport coach, you can be badminton coach, you can be volleyball coach, and so on. Or sports psychologist, you can work with Institute Sukarnegara, Bukit Jalil. Okay, you can also become strength and conditioning trainer or specialist, and at the same time, you can also become exercise physiologist. Okay, so you can also at the same time become a performance analyst, where you analyze performance or game using special apps. Right? Okay. If you like fitness, so you can become personal trainer. Okay, you can train people. You can come up with a training program. Okay, so you can do that. And sometimes you can become fitness director or fitness manager, fitness center manager, and so on. Right? And at the same time, in fitness, you also can be sport and fitness nutritionist. You can help people how to plan their diet, tell them what to do, what to eat, and so on. And in terms of other areas like sport management, you can work in the event company. You can become sport event manager or sport event officer. You can help marketing. You can do marketing in sports. You can work in sport development as a sport development officer. For example, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan or other related company. All right. Then you can also become involved in outdoor activities, become manager, become person in charge, and so on. Then, of course, you can also become the sport consultant. Well, if you like teaching, you can become PE teachers or PE instructor. So in Malaysia, we have private school, we have international schools for you to choose. So you can become a physical education teachers there. Either you can teach primary school, you can teach secondary school, and so on. Okay. Now, if you don't like all this job that I told you, you can also be sport news reporter. Okay, you can be sportscaster, you can be writer, you can be journalist. Okay, and then you can also become sport commentator, where you go and attend competition, right? And then you sit in the special box and you comment on the performance. And if you like photography, then you become sports photographer. You can sell your photograph to relevant people, for example, magazines or some organizations. All right. Okay, so these are among some of the job available for you to choose. Or some of you may not like to work for other people. You like to have your own business, so you can become entrepreneur. So here I showed you 3 areas. Even though entrepreneur, you can be badminton, swimming, gymnastics, fitness. You can have your own academy. So these are the 3 former students of mine who has ventured into various fields. So one of them is Eleganza Rhythmic Gymnastic Academy, where she trained young girls to be good in rhythmic gymnastics. And they have competition in the country as well as overseas. Okay. Now, then the next one on the right hand side, you see LZX Badminton Academy. So this student had, I think this academy is in Teluk Intang. So he trained people to play badminton recreationally, and he also trained them professionally to compete in the local tournaments. Okay. All right. Then the third one at the bottom, you find that Fitness Achievers Sdn Bhd. This is where my student has this company where he got trainers. The physical fitness trainers are freelancers, meaning that they go to your place, they go to your house, they train you at home, or they train you in the open spaces nearby your house. Okay, so this is when you don't like to be what you call that, to work for other people, then you can do business on your own. All right, so due to time constraint, I'm not able to share with you the 2 more videos, which never mind. So when you have time, you can actually go online and check Sang King video on sports science program in Thai University, UMT, made some time ago. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wee. Now we will proceed with the Q&A session. Okay, just a reminder, please type your questions in the chat box. Professor Wee, we have one question in the Facebook comment that requested for the slides. Is it possible for Prof to share the slides with the audience and also the participants?
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, you may email your slides to the organizer of e-KLESF at the end of this session.
All right.
Okay. Dear participants, kindly fill up the sign-out form and as well as the feedback form after the webinar. Now we would like to take a group photos with everyone in this webinar. Please turn on your camera and stand by. Okay, so everyone, please ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, let's take another freestyle. Ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, Prof, is there anything that you would like to cover before we wrap up?
No, that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for the insightful webinar. Dear participants, please join us for the webinar titled Intelligent Product Recommender System from the iBelly.com online shopping platform using content-based filtering techniques at 1 p.m. today. Thank you, everyone, and stay safe. Bye.